Hello, everyone, and welcome back to the channel. This is SCC, and tonight we're going to have a look at the two matches that have so far passed for this week in round 12, the first week of the buys, being Port Adelaide versus Carlton and the Magpies versus the Dogs. Two quite interesting games with quite interesting results as far as it goes for the latter and the AFL going forward anyway. And we'll talk about some of the relevant players from each of these matches. So first, starting with Port Adelaide versus Carlton, we saw Carlton get over the top and really cement themselves as a real threat for the Premiership Cup this year. I think there had been a few question marks over Carlton, but now they've taken a couple of really big scalps, which is really good for the supporters because they had slowed down a little bit, struggled against the Crows. They had a big loss against Sydney, but a big game and a big win away against Port Adelaide, who are a genuine threat in the top 8, is always good to see. And we'll start off with Port Adelaide. So as far as Supercoach scores go, they struggled to really crack the 100 with Horne-Francis pumping out the highest score for the team this week, which was not really surprising. He did look good. I didn't really get to see much of this game, but I was kind of watching it a little bit while I was at the chicken shop waiting for some food on Thursday night. And he played quite well. He looks lively and he looks like he's going to be a real star of the future. There's just a little bit of a level of poise that you see quite a bit with him. I shouldn't say sometimes. And, him, Rosie, and Butters are going to be such a dynamic midfield. All of them do some really good things. Butters really can break open a game. Horne-Francis has just seemed very capable of really working himself into a game, which is something he struggled with last year. But third year in the system now, really helping him. And once Rosie's back from the hamstring injury, they're going to be a very strong outfit. They just need to get this forward line sorted out, I think, for Port Adelaide. I'd probably suggest that what's his name? Their forward, Todd Marshall, that's it. So I feel like Marshall is, he's just pretty disappointing. Like if Port had Charlie Curnow and Harry Mackay, they would win a grand final very easily because that's all they're really missing is that forward line that can, put big bags of goals. Dixon's getting old and realistically he just gets absolutely smashed by defenders. Subbed out this game. Finlayson has been a bit off it this year and they just struggle to get some, a big man that can kick goals. So hopefully for them, that's something they'll look at in the draft. And as far as Supercoach went, Georgiades had a nice game. I don't know what he's priced at the moment, but I'd suggest he's probably 300s. A good return from him after the knee. Ollie Wines, this looked like it was going to be a better score at one point, but settled for the 100. Port, the problem for Port was that in the last quarter when the game was on the line, the guys who were on high scores just got absolutely obliterated by the Carlton players, and that's why we're not really seeing high scores. Houston 98, so another disappointing score, but I thought this was going to be worse at one point. He is still getting nice disposal numbers, which is good, and really punishing with them, but frustrating not to see this higher. Butters 98. So for people who brought him in at a real high, he's going to lose a lot of money. His break even was 136 this week, and it would suggest we might see him in the low 600s. He's got the bye next week, so he won't be picking him up next week, but probably keeping an eye on him. 65% efficiency didn't help him, but the 15 contested disposals really pushed this up. Must have been pretty damaging because the meters gained aren't great either. 17 handballs, so just one of those ones where the contested possessions really helped him to push up his score. But you'd be disappointed with that from him. Not worried, just disappointed. Now, Soldo came back, pushed out our boy Sweet, and he looks pretty good really early. Dropped off at the end, but I don't think Sweet will be getting a game. soon because I think Soldo is starting to cement himself there. And what you do have to remember is that, with these guys, if they were the first picked in, normally they are the one that they want to go with, and that's what Soldo was. Only really lost his position due to injury, so I'm thinking we are going to be seeing them stick with this. Although they did lose, but suggest they'll stick with that. Running down, Burgoyne, a good score if you had him. Looks like a starting pick that a lot overlooked. Travis Boat got the forward mid-roll. 17 disposals, which is good, but not hugely damaging. Only a 71, so not bad for the forward line, but you'd want more. Will slow his price rise if you want to get another look at him at least. And then tracking down from there, not much more relevance. Looking at Carlton, Tom de Koning is going to be an interesting ruckman to go forward with the years to come. Looks like he's really growing into the role. He's got good young mids around him. And put together probably one of his biggest scores he's ever put, especially with Pitnet not in the team. So he's looking like he's going to be a real nice player for the future. Sorry about that. So Walsh 111. So this is one we anti-potting, and we like to see a low score. 111, not high, but also not low. Just a middling score from Walsh. The DT was a lot better than the Supercoach, which probably wasn't helped by his efficiency, but the contested disposals really nice. Clearances nice. Meters gain. Few free kicks against, but the 13 tackles really help. Maybe a little bit underscored considering, but nevertheless, just a decent score, really. Cripps had a huge last quarter from what I heard. I didn't get to see much of that, but looks like he broke the game open because his score was really low and then pumped to 100, so big last quarter. Harry Mackay, another 99, so if you have him, you'd be happy. Nick Newman, 102. One we kind of thought might be all right. The boys are back in Sard and McGovern, and looks like they are affecting him, but he's still got 29 disposals, so still the guy that they prefer to be delivering the ball off there. And Sard had a 91 as well, which is quite interesting because I think he's pretty low priced due to his injuries. So he could be an interesting D7. If we want to loop, Zach Williams playing that forward line, 3 goals too. So this is going to be massive. It's really interesting to see this with Williams, that he's moved into the forward line. He's scoring, well, probably better than what he was scoring off the back line, to be honest. And wouldn't it be interesting if he gets a forward designation? I don't think anyone's going to get him because it'll be too late, but it would be very interesting to see. Kerno, so he was the lower out of the 2 this week. He kicked 3 goals, 1 as well. So it's not like they're not getting the opportunity. 8 kicks just really didn't do much more than that. I think that's what helps Mackay a little bit. He gets pushed into the ruck a little bit to help the Koning, especially when Pitnet's out, which helps his scoring a little bit more, I think. Geordie Hewitt, 66. Glad we've got rid of him, but wouldn't it be nice if I'd kept Holmes at the time and got rid of Hewitt? But one of those things, I guess. And scrolling down there, not much more to talk about from a Supercoach relevancy. All right, on to the Magpies and Bulldogs game, the game tonight. What a really nice game to watch. Really back and forward, a lot of attacking. The Bulldogs really pulled it out. Bont was huge. And we saw some massive Supercoach scores. I actually can't believe how massive these are if we put it in comparison with the other last game we just looked at. Sometimes you look at the scores and go, how do these equate? Because you got 2 guys over 150 and several over 130, yet you don't have hugely low scores. But anyway, I digress. So let's start with Collingwood. Nick Dacos. So I thought this was going to be a 180 from him. In the last quarter, he was, at the start of it, he was already on 127 and 128, and I was sitting here thinking, why did I have to go Bont? Because I VC'd Bont, spoiler alert. And it was out, for me, it was out of Dacos and Bont, and I probably said that in the video, last video. for the VC to roll into like a captain of Sarong, or I was thinking of Dawson maybe as well, but I'm glad I went Bont, who I just thought I'd stick with because, yeah, I just thought that Bont was going to have to try and stand up here and get him a win, which he did. But anyway, Dacos, he was just huge in the first three quarters, and like no one was on him, especially that first quarter. It was frustrating. It's like everyone knows how damaging Dacos is and how important he is to the Magpies outfit, and the Bulldogs just let him run through the midfield and do what he wanted for the first quarter. Like the amount of times you just see him free with no one running him, and I get like it's hard because like Bont and Treloar and that aren't necessarily your heavy, quick moving midfielders, but like surely you look at it and go, all right, we need to get a runner on Dacos that can like keep up with him, because at least if they're not damaging with the ball, at least they can get onto him and stop him from using it, because he had like 6 clearances in the first quarter, 5 from center bounce or something like that. It's like his first 5 disposals were center bounce clearances. Kicked to a goal in the first quarter. He was everywhere, absolutely ripping them apart. But they were able to quell him by, Bont went on to look at the contested disposal count on him. 27 contested possessions for Dacos. 16 clearances. Like, is this a record? Like that, they're huge numbers, and somehow still didn't get up to Bont's level of scoring. Because Bont in the clutch did Bont things, and Dacos kind of faded out a little bit in that last. Not like faded, but he was just less, what I would say, less impactful on the game when it was on the line. And but like incredible to have Dakes, and if you had him as VC, you wouldn't be too stressed. But like, obviously, if you have Bont and Dacos and your VC Dacos, you're only losing 30 points, so it's not the end of the world. Darcy Cameron, another a big score with no Mason Cox and getting the pretty much 100% ruck time. It would probably be it's not 100, but like it would be pretty close to that. 51 hitouts is huge. English does let a lot of hitouts, although he got a lot of hitouts himself. Jack Crispo, he's been an interesting one that I've seen in some people's teams. I think like the 5th division team has Crisp as well. I can't remember who else. I don't know if the first team does, but like really good score from him for a cheap price because he played a bit of sub at the start of the year, and he looks pretty entrenched in their midfield now, playing well, combining well with Dacos out of those packs. And if you had him, you'd be really happy with the 117. Not really in anyone's teams. Scrolling down, Maynard. So interesting that they let him have a shot for goal when he probably should have gone off for a HIA, probably given someone else the shot at goal. Because like I thought the whole thing was if they hit the ground and they don't get up straight away, they're supposed to go off for concussion. But anyway, he was able to get up and play all right. Going down from here. So Charlie Dean, he was actually I reckon he was a pretty cheap defender option, had a good score here, 75. So we'll have a look at what he was costing. I don't know if he was on the bubble or if he was like 150k, but I did look at him. Decided not because I thought I'd like the Western Bulldogs boy, but looks like Dean was the one to go for based on the scores. Although he would have had to be a defender. Don't know if I really had the room, and also probably didn't help with my structure. So probably another reason I really couldn't go Dean. Sorry for the yawns, guys. Bit of a late one. So Josh Dacos kicked the first goal of the game, which was an absolute ripper on his right from a pretty tight angle, but didn't really have much more impact on the game after that. I mean, he did kick another goal. He does look, his Supercoach score doesn't really reflect it, but he did look to be in and around it a lot. But I guess maybe usage, and it looks like it was 47% that hurt him. McCreary was on a high score, really. I think it was on like 40 in the first quarter and then only had 61. Sullivan, who was some people looked at trading in. I thought he was going to have a lot better score than this at one point, but because they put him into CBA in the like third quarter, I think it was. I thought I saw him in the CBA, or maybe he just pushed up, but he was in and around it. And I was thinking, fuck, this is the last thing I need. A forward line player who's getting mid time now, like a forward line rookie that I don't have, but looks like that died off. 61, not the worst score, not the best, but he'll make money, and that's all you need from him. Some other interesting players people were talking about, so McRae, Harrison, and Bytel. All of these guys would be priced all right, especially Bytel. He'd probably be low 120Ks, 20K. He actually did a pretty horrid kick. Like he worked hard to get open, but he did a horrid kick that went out on the full, or didn't go out the full, but didn't hit the player on the chest and rolled out. But Collingwood have so many injury issues. I think he will be fine. And then Parker, the debutant, got subbed on and played a little bit at the end. Watch him next week to see how it goes. Now, moving on to the Bulldogs. And Marcus Bontempelli, what a player. Like, honestly, the guy just... I was sitting there thinking, like, at the end of the third quarter, he's on about 90. I was thinking, look, if he gets to 130, you know, we're happy with that. Hopefully, Dacos doesn't go too much higher. He's on 127 or something at the time. And, you know, we're only losing 20 points because we have Dacos. But, geez, Bont put in one of the, like, absolute quarters of the year. Pretty sure he kicked goal. Just getting he's just in everything. Like I was just sitting there watching the game and I was thinking, you know, Dacos obviously gets those quick kicks out, but Bond was just working so hard, like on the inside, getting handballs out, which I didn't think were getting scored very well. But in the clutch, man, did they pump? And the like goal in the last quarter really helped. And man, he was just firing on all cylinders. And, you know, at first I was like, man, I've missed the big VC. I'm going to get a good VC, but not the big VC. But man, did Bont move that around. And, he is just back. And I was just like saying this when we were talking about mids, I was kind of saying this, like we're talking about Bont having a down season where he's averaging 119 still and still like top 5 for midfielders. So, man, and he just looks like he's back and he looks like he's really, really trying to carry the Dogs to success. It's kind of a bit interesting way to put it, but like, man, does he put him on his back? And 16 contested possessions, 10 clearances, 2 goals, one of them clutch, 3 kicks. Like he was getting on to Dacos. He probably got Dacos for holding the ball. At least 2 of those 3 free kicks I remember. There was one, in the or both times it was like Dacos running through the pack and Bont was able to kind of get onto him and force him into a mistake. And those are big things when you've got a player that's ripping you up. Speaking of, talking about holding the balls being cut down, that Dacos one where he ran like 2 steps, got tackled, should have been holding the ball for the Dogs as well. Lucky it didn't really affect the result, but at the time it was pretty important. But anyway, this is what we're kind of getting annoyed about with the AFL and their interpretations and continuously making excuses, because when you have a clear one and don't pay it, it's frustrating to watch. But anyway, I actually think the change has been pretty good. Like watching it, I go, yeah, this is more of a holding the ball than, what we were seeing before. So I'm happy to see that. But, back onto the Supercoach, man, really happy to have the Bont VC because it's going to help me because, I've only got my 18, don't have, the 1920 that a lot of teams have due to the injuries that have just been hit with at the wrong time. So it's good to hit, a really good VC because it will get, next week I'm probably going to have 1920, so which is good. Dale, man, I thought Dale was going to go even higher than 130. At the start in the first quarter, he had like 7 kickouts. Collingwood just barraging the goals, sorry. And he was benefiting so much. Big kicks out. Got to 132. You're really happy if you have him. If you don't, it's fine. But man, if you have Bont, Dale, English, you're very, very happy with tonight's game. And Dacos, Jesus Christ. And that leads on to English. So, I did think about getting English in. I looked at it hard, especially when Meat was out. And I was just like, you know what? Let's go to Grundy. Grundy's got the bye this week. I don't need to trade Meat this week. I can get Brock Grundy in next week, and then run off that. But what would English do and go and have it 130 now make me rethink the whole thing? And you know what? Like, I feel like I just haven't learned. Like, yeah, English has a down game, which is a 90, but bloody hell, does he put in these 130s pretty often? And he looked good. 50 hit outs. You know, he tries to go with the second and third efforts. You know, he didn't even clunk all these marks tonight and stuff like that. Like, and I feel like it's just do it. 100. I mean, 100% efficiency helps. Jesus, didn't see that, but yeah, what a man. And I feel like I need to go him. Just because, you know, I feel like Grundy's more up and down, whereas English is a little bit more stable. He hasn't had the injury issues, touch wood, that we've seen previously. Adam Treloar, probably the most underrated Supercoach players. He's actually in the 640s, and this is only going to push him further. About 5 or 6% owned. All he does is play midfield. Like, he's not, like, he gets pushed around less than Bont does. Usage wasn't great tonight, so this could be even better. You know, 37 disposals, gets around it all the time, kicks goals, you know, meters gained, contest possessions, clearances, everything you want in a midfielder. And probably the reason why no one's picked him is just because of his injury history. And, you know, this is what I was talking about at the start of the year. You know, injury history doesn't necessarily carry over. Yes, there's probably a higher risk, but if you hit the time with like a guy like Treloar, where he just doesn't get injured, and, you know, he's had a bit more time and a good preseason, like, this is what you see. And everyone's missed him, and he's playing really well. And I'm probably going to have a look at, you know, what's his run like, and a little bit of a think about how Libba's going to affect him, because Libba will affect him. And then, you know, from there, hopefully make a decision, because, you know, like, I do like Butters as a choice, but looking at his fixture, it isn't great on the way home. Merritt's just been so up and down. So it's like, if we're going to finish these midfielders, maybe we get this pod like Treloar. It's going to depend on what the Dogs draw's like. But, yeah, really nice score from Treloar. McRae, why'd you have to do 100 this week? You know, I've got you, the person I'm versing in my only league has Treloar, McRae. He has Bont. Everyone has Bont, but he has English as well, who he VC'd, and McRae. So thank you for that, McRae. Looked like it was going to be worse. Kicked 2 goals on the first goal. So he had 4 disposals, 2 goals, and he was on 40. I was like, fuck's sake. Like, of course, the week I'm versing McRae, he's going to go well. And he did. And he looked like he's playing a little bit more up the ground. Not a huge amount, but a little bit. Am I convinced? Not really, because the fact that he only went from 100, you know, when he had such a big start as well, and there was quite a big pause. And if he didn't keep those 2 goals, one of which was from a 50-meter penalty as well, like, this score could be a lot worse. So, yeah, I mean, McRae holders are very happy, because, you know, it's a nice 100 in your forward line. That's hard to get. But in the buys as well, it's a good time to be getting it, because it means, you know, this is probably a score you might have thought might be in your worst, but it's in probably your best now. But yeah, I don't know about McRae. If we saw the midfield time, it would be good. Sanders, what a great score. 98. Wouldn't it be nice if we all had him and were able to hold him to 400k like we liked? No, Bevo, you had to put him in fucking sub and then drop him for ages, and now playing midfield. God, it's so annoying to see Sanders back in the team when we all had him, and then like Bevo do Bevo things, and now, you know, he's back, but he's 300k at 98. Maybe people could look at him just because he's cheap, but yeah, frustrating to see a mid forward as well, which is annoying. But that's another thing we don't think about. If he's mid forward, you know, could go him, especially if this sticks, but it might depend on Libba. So Darcy. Did I jump the gun on him? Because I was like on Twitter, X, and I was like, yes, Darcy, got rid of him. He's given 250s away, negative 21 he was on at one point, negative 21. I don't think I've seen higher than that. And I was thinking it's going to be hard for him to get a decent score from him. Nevertheless, get a break even. Now, I think he hit break even, but not by much, or was it in the hundreds? I'm not sure, but you'd be happy with an 80 on field. An 80 on field is very good this week from a rookie. And Collingwood just didn't have anything for him. He was just too tall and he just kept taking marks. And even if he missed, he was still taking contested marks. He hit 3 goals. And yeah, very happy with the 80, very happy with the save because that's like 100 realistically, considering where it started from at negative 21. Going down from here, if you had Gallagher, he was getting midfield time, which is good. Not sure many had him. Fraser was able to get a 66, which I'm happy with. Just make money for me. Thank you. I'll take the score as well because it's not the worst. And then running down from there, Garcia, a little bit of a down game for him, but the DT was good, so hopefully bounce back next week. And they had the Vandermeer and Harms injuries, which is kind of good for Fraser because at least it gives them a level of job security with guys like Richards to come back, Liver at some point, and then, you know, there's a few sitting in the wings that could probably replace. But anyway, that is the games. A pretty long-winded one, this one. But yeah, I was able to watch the Bulldogs Collingwood game, so it was good to be able to talk about them a little bit and how they played. Yeah, so I thought while we're here, we might as well look at the team. So these 2 games are already done. So Hawthorn Crows, nothing big here, just Meek out. So if you got Meek, you can keep him, you can get rid of him. It's up to you. I don't know what I'm keeping him because I've already got Sweet locked in as out, and I don't want to go for 2 rucks because I'll probably go for either English or Grundy. We'll see how it works, but because English is going to be cheaper because he still didn't hit break even, or he's like on break even. So that would be all right. But yeah, nothing much to talk about there. Big changes for West Coast. They finally got ruck in. So whether this will be as easy a scoring game for Marshall as it has been for others will be interesting to see. But it looks like they're sticking with two rucks, isn't it? Because they're sticking with 2 rucks. So that will be interesting to see how Marshall goes with that. Because looking at them, yeah, Bailey's just playing in the forward line apparently. So interesting. St Kilda, so we see Membry, Clark, and Butler in. So a couple of fringy-ish players, but a lot of fringy-ish players dropped as well. No Hunter, which is annoying. I'm not Hunter, sorry. Hugo Garcia, which is annoying, but yeah. Interesting to see how Clark affects Wangani, Malira, and Bonner, etc. And Sinclair to a degree. Moving to the Cats v the Tigers. Just the 2 suspensions out for Geelong, bringing in Rowan and O'Connor leaves, you know, they're 2 rookies that are probably relevant there on the Mearnsey. Neil or Mullen, you would suggest, will be the sub here. Grind into our team this week. Whether it sticks that way, we're going to be discussing soon. Richmond bringing the new player in Caleb Smith, so 2nd year, I believe. Interesting to see how he goes and if he can hold a spot. Probably good for Kane because at least it means there's one more player that he's ahead of, I would suggest. And he can hopefully keep scoring and make us money through the buys. Otherwise, yeah, not necessarily anything here other than Shea going out with the injury, but probably could see that coming after last week. And Jai Clark suspended as well. So if you had him, that's a bit annoying that you're not getting that cover there. Yeah, not a huge amount like that's actually interesting for Supercoach happening here. Like Turner in, but he's been in for a while. I don't know what Sturt's priced at. Be interesting to see. But yeah, nothing much changing here. As far as subs, probably Walters for Fremantle, and I'd suggest Tajwa Woden for Melbourne. Now, this is where there is a little bit of interest. So Nemoyle, 192k rock, which I think is annoying because he didn't actually get a price rise last year. It should be lower. But anyway, has had a score of 90 and 102 or 91 and 102. One of those against Geelong, one against Carlton. And I think he faced Pitt Net, so that's quite a good score. Wits. So actually the 3-ins are actually quite relevant. So Blanders back from the illness, which is great. And Graham back, who we traded out a couple of weeks ago, which is annoying, but it helped us make things happen. So, You can't bet on players getting back in, especially when it's seemingly them playing others ahead. But it's annoying to see Rogers omitted. Witt's injured, so I've been trying to look up actual information regarding this. Seems he wasn't fit. Seems it's a hammy. I don't know. So, Moyle's the big question. Do I go Moyle over a grind and try and bank some money? Because if he goes 60, he's making 60K. Which, even if you had to trade, at least you're making 100 and what? 50 grand off that. If you're trading to, or 130K if you're trading to a rookie. So, and if then he gets another game because Witts has to stay out, or if he plays really well, that would be really good. But Essendon are the hardest to score against for rucks this year, which was kind of surprising, but I guess it is just the Goldstein effect. He's always been a really good ruck. I just don't know what I want to do. Do I want to go Moyle? I don't know. It just seems like a backward step when I really don't need to, but the money would be good. So yeah, I don't know. This is one I'm going to be thinking about for a while. And yeah, that's the last of the buys. Of the team. So let's have a look at the team, how she stacks up. So we've only really had 3 players play. We've got our projection up to 2-125, which is nice, but can't really read too much into that. So we've had Houston, Dacos, and Bont with the VC, so you can't ask much more than that. And Fraser obviously here. So we're sticking with currently the trades of Clark, Myers, and Fraser for Green, Sweet, and Darcy. With the thinking behind the Green trade is I'm not getting a game out of him this week. It helps me upgrade to Myers, and then next week I could get him back in. I was looking at the trades. I'd probably make 3 trades next week just because I want to get Dawson, Will Dawson, the North Melbourne defender, because I think he's going to give us a lot of flexibility when moving around players. Plus, he's coming off a bye. Then you can get the rock up to a Grundy or whoever. And then Wilson could also potentially go up. And I'll have enough money to literally get whoever I want. So if I go English, which is an interesting proposal because I could have Jackson by the end of this, by the end of the buys anyway. So when I need to cover the Meek, for English when he is out, which I think is round 15, we could have Jackson by then, which would be quite nice because then, we get the coverage here. We can hopefully get an extra forward on, and it won't actually matter. So, these are the things I'm thinking about. If we go 3 trades, it would be 9, 2 upgrades. So we had to do the ruck upgrade at some point, and then we would be going an upgrade in the forward line, which we could do to Jackson and just carry through the buy, or we could look at a midfielder, which would be like a Butters, or, potentially could be someone else. I don't know. See who puts themselves forward here, but could be like a Neil or a Dunkley, actually, to be honest, because they have a decent-ish run on the way home. So kind of what I'm thinking about at the moment. Although with Grind, I could... The thing is, right, if I go Moyle instead of Grind, it does give me a little bit of safety in case Myers doesn't really live up to that scoring. But I just want this Richmond game because I feel like it's a high-scoring game for him. So I don't know. One I have to think of over even the next day, make a decision for tomorrow night before Myers plays and see what happens. Because Clark's break even's too low. So if I want to get Clark, I need to go now. Otherwise, I'm going to pay even if he goes 60, he's probably going to make, 15, 20 grand. So, and then 550 just feels a little bit more risky. If he goes 104, it's 36 grand. So that makes him 568, which makes him, getting into the echelon of what you'd be paying for like a Houston or a Ryan. So I'd probably just rather pay this now and see how it goes. And he's got the good buy. So that's another thing to think about. So anyway, I hope your game's gone well this week. I hope you only got on the Dacos or Bont VC. The Bont VC compared to Dacos isn't that a huge loss if you went Dacos. So don't feel too distressed. It's only 30 points if you have both. So, just stick with Dacos. Don't try and do something silly. Okay, not that I think anyone will, because 156, like that doesn't happen much. He's beat his break even, which is crazy. Um, but yeah, stick with it. First round of the buys, I'm hoping to just straight through. I think this is going to be like my worst buy. I think I'll be able to flip things so by the time round 15 comes, I'll be all right. And yeah, hopefully can pop out a decent score, competitive score. The projection's looking all right. Not like over the top good, but it's looking all right. So without saying any more, because this has already gone for 35 minutes, we'll leave it there. If you did enjoy the video, if you enjoyed the time put in, if you enjoyed the chat, if you didn't enjoy the chat, give us a subscribe. Come back next time. Maybe it will be better. Who knows? Anyway, thanks for watching, and we'll see you in the next one. Cheers.